Today we're going to talk about Gen 3 Hemi. This is the engine that's going to go in the Desert Dart. Whenever I build an engine, and especially for myself, I always look at the oiling system. I want the thing to survive and live and so on and so forth. I've built, I looked at it, 52 or 53 Hemis for other people. Not one of them was ever a road race style of setup. It was basically just, hey, build this thing, put it together, make it survive, and whatever. Okay, good, awesome. Thumbs up, we're good to go, let's make it work. For this one, I'm going to do something different. So I'm looking at how the oiling system works. Comes in here. This is where it comes out of the oil pump. So after pressure is all we're really going to be talking about. It's got a 5/8 that comes up to the pump, and that's the suction side. I would like to see something bigger, but 5/8 is what I got. It comes out of here. This is 1/2 inch, and then comes 1/2 inch to this port. This port is the one that comes to this side of. This is where the filter goes. Now what I'm going to do is I'm going to grind all this open right here, and a lot of this open in here. In fact, I'm probably going to angle drill down in here and just port all this out. So that way we can open up this a little bit and then kind of cut that back right there in that area. Here's where it gets interesting, is when we're feeding it back in. Now feeding it back in, it goes to this hole here. Well, actually it goes here first, goes up, and that's a 5/8 hole that goes all the way up to the pressure sending unit. That's a 5/8 hole now. Then it goes through this hole, which is on this engine, 462 thousandths. So it's 462 thousandths from there to here. Then it goes from here to here, and it's 392 thousandths up this hole. So you're already going to see a slightly bloated oil pressure here if you're going from a large to a much smaller diameter. Then from there, it goes up into the main oil galley. I'm going to flip this over and I'm going to show you from that point on. So now the engine's flipped over, and this is the main oil galley. This is the main oil galley. It traverses down the center of the block, and that feeds these. And then there's two lines that go up from here to the MDS system. There's two lines that go up from here to the MDS system, and they also share the oiling that goes up to the rocker arms. This one has got oil squirters, so there's oil squirters there. So these holes here on these ones here are, that is 15/64. 15/64 comes out to 234 thousandths. But it doesn't go all the way 264 thousandths all the way in. It actually stops. So I'm thinking they drill these first, then they drill the main oil down. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to open all these up to what I always open up everything to, if you look here on my little card, there is 15/64. I'm going to go to 9/32, and that's going to be 2812. Also too, like I said, I'm going to open that up in there in two. So that's what I'm going to do there. Next thing I'm going to do is the oil pressure port that goes right there. I'm going to drill that and tap that out to 1/4 inch 18 MPT. Then I'm going to run a -6 line that comes up, and I'm going to back feed this one, and this one. So I'm going to have high pressure oil come from there, and a -6 comes out to like 375 thousandths diameter. So that way I'll back feed these two here. Once I back feed that one, that way it's going to help keep the oil pressure up, and it keeps the volume up. I really would have liked to come back to this point here. This is the back of that, but there's not much room in there to drill and tap on that because of this plug. I mean, I could barely get in there. I mean, I could probably put it at an angle, but I wouldn't be happy with that. Plus, if I don't like it, I can essentially pull these out and run it right back to factory stock, and it won't make any difference. So now this is looking at the mains again. So now that I'm going to backfeed essentially this one here and this one here, that means that you're going to have high pressure oil coming to this one from the pump, high pressure oil coming to this one. So this one's going to feed that. So that way this It's not just flow, it's actually getting high pressure oil, and this one also will take care of that one if it's ever dropping in pressure. Since the main oil comes into this one will basically be taking care of itself, but also will share duties with this one. So essentially it's going to go, that one's going to take care of that one, this one's going to help with this one will help with this one. So, yep, we're going to start cutting some stuff, and yeah, moving on. So get yourself a drill bit. You can get these at any, hardware store. Make a piece of tape on it and just kind of set your depth, so that way you just barely break in. Just use a piece of electrical tape. So essentially I got all 4 of these. They're all done nice up, and there's a much bigger hole going there. Next I'm going to start on this. All right, so on the oil filter, I opened up this side right here. I still left a little rib here, but basically that triples the area. And this right here is what it was before. Also too, this hole here that feeds it in, that's actually 580. So then I went down and got a drill bit that I tried to remember it. But I got a drill bit that was 37/64. That's as close as I could get. And so then I drilled down here, that hole right there, this top one, 37/64. So that goes all the way to right there. It's not that deep, but it was still, decent. So now this is about everything that I can do. So this is a good setup. So it's going to be 580 all the way here. There's going to be very little resistance here. It goes through the filter, then it goes back into here, which is very little resistance. So that way the high volume pump can actually pump some high volume. There's no resistance behind it. It's going to get a 90 degree here, so that's going to create a little bit, but it's the same diameter, so you're going to get a little bit there. Then it's going to come out of here, and also to go back in here. So I got that all done up in there. Let's see if I can get my light in there. So I drilled that out. That is now 1/4 inch NPT. And just to check it out, take a little piece and screw it in. Boom. Moving on to the next step. Now this step's done. You can see I tapped these out. These were 5/16, so I put a 3/8/16 since it's the perfect size already. Put one into each one since I'm running lifters that are going to oil up to the push rods. I don't want this oiling to come up. I want to keep them down on the mains. So what I'm doing is I have these set screws. You can see I drilled an 1/8 inch hole through each one of these things. So instead of 4 5/16 lines going up to the rocker arms, I'm going to have these. So basically this side will do the driver's side, this side will do the passenger side. And I'm going to have probably solid push rods in this, since I'm going to be oiling up the lifters. This way, this will isolate the rocker arms itself for oiling, and then the lifters will have high pressure oil going to it. In the process of tapping out these are going to be the ones that I was going to be doing for the oil galley that goes up. I went out and said, hey, let's go out and buy a new tap, it'll be better. Tapping it out, and this thing broke off inside there. Man, you want to talk about being PO'd. Luckily I got it out. But yeah, it broke that sucker in just a little tiny deal, man. It took about 2 hours of chiseling on it to get that damn thing out. So I just went back to old reliable, and so that tells you right there, they don't make parts like they used to. Carry on. The reason why I never did this before is nobody else, you'd ask people, hey, can I try this on your block? And they don't really want you to experiment on their block. So anyways, this is what I got. This is what I'm going to do. If it fails, I failed. Big deal. I've got a 6.4 sitting right underneath there that I can just drop in that car, and with a cam change, you're making 600 horse, big deal. So why not? This is what I wanted to try, so this is what I'm going to try. So I ground that all out so that, like I said, it's going to be bitching. Anyways, and for whatever reason, this one didn't have a check valve in the oil squirters, which was odd. I'd never seen that before. So I got some 6.4 ones, and they have a check ball in them, so that way at idle, it's not going to be squirting oil. Now, I don't know if all 6.1s are like that. This is my first 6.1 block that I got to take apart. They probably all have check balls in it, but this one had the bearings on it that said '03. So this engine was very early, or probably one of the first ones made as far as testing. Who knows? But it did not have check balls in it. So I have 4 of them that now have check balls in them from a 6.4. So anyways, that's my oiling mods that I do to that I'm going to give it a shot on the Gen 3 Hemi. Alrighty.